Britain's had its fair share of gang trouble. In the 60s we had the Firm, in the 90s we had the gun-toting gangs from Manchester. Tonight's gang have been dubbed the most vicious and ferocious gang and the most feared of all. They are blamed for most of London's shootings and the city's biggest drug deals. They seem to confuse the media and the police alike, and some would even say they don't even exist. Tonight on the world's deadliest gangs, we ask, who are the Yardies?
In tonight's show, how the Yardies have dominated the international crime scene like no other gang. On the street, in South London, treading on Yardie turf. But first, the Yardies in action. In the space of 20 years, the Yardies have become the most feared of all international crime gangs. Originally from Jamaica, they have spawned a generation of imitators, a world of crack cocaine, prostitution rings and random violence. Insatiable greed and a total disregard for life are always the perfect mix for gang warfare in your backyard.
Violence is the main road. There's no question about that. It's a way of life for them.
You're dealing with terror, and once you're dealing with terror, you've got control.
Their rules are make money by whatever means you can.
They will do anything to get into it, and part of the problem is that they're very ruthless.
Kind of a different level of violence to that which we've previously seen.
As a Yardie, the journey from being the local Don to the mortuary slab is a short one. Not surprising when the whole system runs on extreme violence.
The ruthlessness and the viciousness which they execute, their means and ways to attain what they want is something that, people never can fully understand or comprehend.
Unconventional weapons are used. This is the face of a London drug dealer who argued with the Yardies. His face was slowly burnt off with an electric iron.
They see a lot of wicked things happen. They see a lot of black people get cut from here to here. They call it telephone cut. It's just a fear, really. If you talk, you get this.
The roots of this violent culture are in the Yardies' hometown, Kingston, Jamaica.
The political history of Jamaica since independence in the 60s has always had elements of violence to it. The levels of violence built up to the 1980 election, where estimates vary between 700 and 900 people were killed during the election campaign alone. And many people believe there was just a lot of bodies that have never been found. Armed with a knowledge of weapons and what you can get with them, and pretty much stuck with nothing else to do, they got into the drugs trade very enthusiastically.
In Jamaica, they have scant respect for the law. They shoot police, they gun down soldiers, do what they want to do. And they'll come into Britain and say, look, I can do it in Jamaica. I'm not afraid of you. I can do it here. And they're going to continue with their way of life because nothing's going to stop them.
Even Jamaica's nickname has been hijacked by these gangs.
You hear somebody speak and you say, oh, you're a Yardie, or you come from Yard. Initially, as the term changed via Scotland Yard Police, people start to deviate and do not want to be associated with it.
The Yardies are now taken to be violent, drug-dealing, gun-toting criminals.
But Trenchtown soon started exporting criminals as well as grass. America was first to experience Yardie violence in the early 80s.
So you have people who've been living in incredibly poor areas, in incredibly poor conditions. Suddenly the way out of all that is you have a gun, you point a gun at somebody, they give you what you want.
After introducing the drug to Miami in the early 80s, the posses muscled in on the drugs trade in every major American city in less than 5 years.
In the late 80s, crack and guns were to hit South London, Yardie style.
This kind of black organised crime, and in particular the Yardies, focused on any crime that involved violence. It was robbery, it was about drugs, and drugs is violence because you need to gain your turf. It was about firearms, it was about anything where they could intimidate.
Many a times people try and take liberties with you as a drug dealer on the street. If you don't want to get rid of them, you can shoot them in the legs, or if someone see the gun, they won't take a chance, you know. You know for a fact they're not going to report you to the police because they're scared.
It was the beginning of a period of gang warfare that was to rip South London apart. Still to come, we go to Brixton to find out how the Yardies ply their trade in crack and violence. Gang style, all the way from Kingston, Jamaica. But first, gang warfare. On the streets of South London, the Yardies ply their trade. From the estates of Lewisham to the back streets of Brixton, there's one thing that unites this group of gangsters: the love of the gun.
The criminals are using guns like this, a 9mm semi-automatic pistol.
It's now quite common to find 9mm automatic ammunition left at the scene of a crime, which of course is a dreadfully frightening kind of gun to be using.
Instead of just being used to commit a robbery or to commit a specific crime, guns were emerging as status symbols. They were emerging almost as fashion accessories. People were producing them in nightclubs. People were being photographed with guns. These were trophies and these were badges of rank. The bigger the gun, the more important the man.
This was one of the acts at last month's reggae concert, which ended in bloodshed. The police can't say if the gun being waved around is real or not.
We get a DJ come on stage, and the first thing he start talking about is gun. He's gonna shoot that, and he's gonna shoot this, and he's, you know, and then the crowd react, and he just carry on and doing more.
This unedited tape captures the exact moment when the dance hall was thrown into panic after a gunman decided to wreak his revenge. A salvo of gunfire at the packed gig left 27-year-old Mark Burnett dead and 2 seriously injured.
A lot of black people is getting shot in dances. People is walking around with bullets in them now. Even then, they don't tell the police the real truth about it.
The addict's choice, crack, has added to the extreme measures that the Yardies employ to protect their stash and turf.
It's a very fast acting drug, it's a very powerful drug, and the need for it is intense.
You got the very real possibility of making a very large sum of money in a very short space of time.
You might be selling more drugs than me, I don't like it. The only way to slow you down is to rob all your bases, all your crack bases. I'll get my people, we go in there, stick you up with guns, take your money, take your cash. Got a couple of girls there, depends on how they look, you know. They might rape them, beat them up, beat the guys up badly.
Stopping rivals and police from breaking into the crack house is a #1 priority. They are protected by New York jams, a thick piece of timber wedged in between the reinforced door and the front wall.
With the doorman's entry weapon here.
The police raid crack houses regularly in an attempt to control the gang's grip on the capital. This raid is in Hackney, East London. The police discover 30 rocks of crack cocaine and a gangster who's here on a false passport. The Yardies are known as the most disorganized organised crime syndicate. With no hierarchy and little communication between the posses, it's been impossible for the police to break them.
We found a very flat criminal hierarchy. You could go from the bottom to the top very quickly, earning respect.
Because the individual can at any one time be up and the next time he can be down within days or hours even, then obviously the problems we have in identifying an individual within the group and his level within the group is obviously far greater than what it would be if we could identify a clearly defined structure.
Today, this system is still at work in the capital, but the yardie is no longer just from the backyard.
A lot of these British guys, born blacks, who have never even been to Jamaica, the Caribbean per se, have taken on that sort of image.
These same people are the people that are looked on in the eyes of the youngsters as role models out there today that are able to drive the fast cars, sport the mobile telephones, have the jewellery, you know, and this is what a lot of the youngsters unfortunately are looking as their role model of today.
You find there's quite a lot of them that worship and try to be like them.
With a vicious circle now in place, the Black Mafia look like they've got a profitable and long future ahead.
You got all the yardies, you got all the English guys who were the black guys that were born here. At the end of the day, they all want money.
Join us after the break with darker stories from gangland. And remember, dead men don't tell lies. Whoa! What's the He's showing, ain't he? Whoa! Shut! You be like that, you. Welcome back to the world's deadliest gangs. It is often said that the yardies are the biggest gangland threat in Britain today. The police fear they're the main supplier of crack and cocaine on the streets of London. But many of today's youths are being influenced by the way they look and act. And this is a modern day dilemma.
The yardies are known for their love of expensive sports gear and gold chains. This is something that stands out a mile in the poor inner city areas where they are based.
Gang members normally have a kind of loyalty that you unfortunately don't find in society in general. And they also have a kind of allegiance to their particular neighborhood or their group. Because gang members still have material values. They like to drive flash cars, they like to wear certain logos. And this really contrasts quite sharply with the other people in the neighborhood who don't have the money to wear labels and drive the same kind of cars.
The yardies control the drug supply, and this means that very quickly they acquire a lot of hard cash. This is money they don't place in a bank account.
People who come from backgrounds without much money have always utilized jewelry or fine fabrics to show off that they have made a success of themselves.
If anything, nowadays the yardies are like any other gang members around the world. They display their wealth. So they're driving the big flash motors, they've got the chopperitas, they've got the big gold chains, they've got the big medallions. There's also a secondary reason why all these gang members wear their, apart from showing their wealth and showing their position, none of them are going to put their money in the bank because what they do is not legal. So they'll either put it under the mattress or they'll wear it.
The human body is the oldest bank, so to speak. It's where we keep our wealth. Nowadays, you put your money in a bank or something, or you might buy an expensive car. But throughout human history, the oldest way to preserve and look after your wealth, because you're not going to lose it if it's slung around your neck, or to show it off because it's constantly with you, is to actually wear your wealth.
If things go wrong and they're short of dough, they'll pawn it. Now, we're not talking about chains that are worth a tenner or rings that are worth a fiver, do you know what I mean? We're talking about hundreds, grands even. So they're walking around with their assets at all time, and the only people they trust with those assets are themselves.
To a lot of people's eyes, seeing a yardie or some other gang member absolutely drenched in what must be quite heavy gold or whatever jewelry, we see this as a bit strange. People have literally weighed themselves down with all manner of precious objects.
You got to think these are people who have come over from a hot climate, so they're not dressing the same as they were in the West Indies. Their code is to mete out extreme violence when dealing with a problem, to send a message back to everyone else not to screw them. I think Yardis, as a gang-based culture, are more about the more negative aspects of that kind of life. I think, they were heroes to people back home because they supported one or the opposition parties, whereas now they do what they do.
Yes, we pray. Yes, we pray. Yes, we pray. Yes, we pray.
Southeast London, the British backyard of the Yardies. Giving us a guided tour is Charlie Breaker, a close associate of dodgy Dave Courtney and a Brixton boy through and through.
This is my hometown. When I say I'm going to town, I'm going to Brixton. When I go shopping, I go to Brixton. I want a new suit, I go to Brixton. I want to buy a drawer, I go to Brixton. Hello, Breaker speaking. Originally, all Jamaican smoke was Jamaican weed, Sensimina. Cocaine come on the scene in the early 80s, and things changed a little bit. Well, within 3 or 4 years, it turned into a bit of a crack scene. Things went a bit haywire. There was a lot of killings and gang warfares and all kinds of things, and Brixton was becoming quite a dangerous place. Amongst the Jamaican community, crack is very much scorned upon, but there's opportunists out there, and they're usually fresh from Jamaica, and it's a very easy way to work on crack alley with a hood over your head.
These streets have seen their fair share of violence. In the early 90s, residents of Brixton died for cover every time a car backfired. Shooting had become that common.
There is a lot of handguns, I think, amongst them. A lot of it more is for their own protection, because the crime that they are involved in. Oh, by the way, this is crack alley. These are the corners where you would see the crack dealers a bit later in the day. Hanging about on these corners, you tell them because of the hoods over their heads trying to disguise themselves.
Next up on Charlie's itinerary is a visit to Maestro, a local publican with roots in Jamaica.
The late crack cocaine has put a big change in Brixton. Crack is a more uncontrollable drugs. It's walked with a lot of violence.
Maestro knows these Brixton streets inside out and is keen to show us the Yardies' haunts.
We are now entering one of the most notorious parts of Britain. Drugs, killing, violent crimes, turf war. People who's doing things on the street, selling crack. Oh, anything possible in Britain.
Anything is possible on these streets. The woman seen here is an actress. The following story is taken from a statement of a victim of Yardie-style brutality. This victim was kidnapped by a gang when her nephew ripped them off. She was taken to a flat where she was stabbed, beaten, and then tortured.
He said, "I'm not going to shoot you, that would be too fast. I'm going to punish you first." He then stabbed me in the left leg at the top with a butcher knife. He kept telling me to shut up as I was crying. I don't know how long they beat me up, but I blacked out for a while. Pam and the rest of them all kicked and punched me. She beat me more than the others. I thought I was to die.
Her only means of escape was a window 5 floors up over 60 feet from the ground. When the gang went out, she took the only option and threw herself out of the window, breaking her pelvis, back, and ankle. The truly shocking thing is the leader of the gang was a woman called Fat Pam. Real name Gwendolyn Pinnock. She was sentenced for 10 years for her part in this horrific torture.
These people on the street, they ain't got no moral or nothing on the street. All they want is money to get another fix when they need it. And they do anything for it. I would say differentiated the weed seller. The weed seller is less violent, yeah. than the crack. The crack seller is killers. Anything could happen. You could come across a gang war, come across anything. The famous Brixton Market, and all along here, it's only about 200 meters away from the police station, and all along here. If you walk along here by yourself and just disguise it, certainly, that's it, look. Just look at the hangouts, look, the old crack pushers, look. You see it? That's it. It's all along here. And this is only about 50 to 100 meters away from the police station. The yard is not an organized gang. The yard is like 10 men from a country come on to another country. 10 men from a different section of the country come here.
Although there's no formal structure, Maestro knows leaders of Yardie gangs called barons.
The baron probably have 10, 15 men around him, so everything come to him, and he issue out. So when he issue out, they pay up. He won't have to say, he won't have to do nothing to you. The lower section do all the dirty work. As you reach the top, you make it, and over to someone and then go. It ain't gonna last long. Someone always want that position. Because there's as they put it, a hungrier man want to rise. Or a hungrier man want to eat your food.
The Yardies have had a greater impact in their 20 short years of existence than any other gang. Their readiness to use deadly force and ability to baffle the police has promoted them to the top of the criminal tree. The Yardies are one of the world's deadliest gangs.
Well, that's all we've got time for on the world's deadliest gangs. If you're worried about organised crime and gang violence, remember, I can't help you. Bank robbery, money, and the most feared of all. Or Gangchester. Blackie, come on in, eh? Kidnapping, power, firm, the Yardies. If you have any trouble with organised crime, yeah, call 1-800 Big Tony. Very naughty. The world's most dangerous cities. The Hell's Angels. The drugs cartel. The Bloods, the Crips. Hijacking and murder. The world's deadliest gangs.